What's he popping, you beautiful humans? My name is Ariane Andrew,
I'm Matt Dillon, and welcome to another piping hot episode of Sippin' the Tea.
where we sip the tea and our guests
Spill that tea!
and see.
Oh, girl! Not bad. Not bad. Cheers, girl.
Cheersies. What
Thanks
is?
for being here. If you only knew the story,
I'm
people.
glad you could make it.
Of course. Live.
We
What's
have
up?
Liddy here.
We got Miss Mama and Honey. Lady in pink here needs no introduction, but Christine Bullock, health, beauty, wellness, there's nothing she doesn't do. I really am excited to touch on her advocacy for adoption, her beautiful family. My love,
you.
Thank you for
Thank
being
you
here.
for having me.
And thank you for bringing it.
I know.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Always
came.
for
I was
you
like,
guys.
honey, if you can get the full shot, she's serving leg.
Yes.
Leg.
Ooh!
I was waiting for that. Yes! Thank you for coming.
Yes, girl.
Yes.
Okay, we're just gonna dive right on in.
Okay.
So let's take it back. You know, how did your fitness journey even start?
Let's take it
Let's take it way back.
Is that-
Yes, like was it always a passion? I just,
Yeah.
spill the tea, girl.
Absolutely. I love it. Yeah, I mean, it actually started when I was around 2 years old. So you got to go way back, which I don't even remember. But
Like 5 years ago?
yes,
She's like,
exactly. Thank you. I'll come back.
I know how to impress the ladies, girl.
You do. But yeah, I would like walk around on my toes, and I begged my mom to put me into ballet, and I loved ballet, and I've been dancing 5 to 7 days a week for about 17 years. Kind of, there were some times that were on and off, and I played a bunch of sports. But I also think that my dad was an anatomy and biology teacher for the high school. And so he would bring home like bodies that you would take apart, like plastic.
Oh, I was
People
like,
have questioned those too to me before. I know.
I was like, body.
And it just went left.
Sorry, Daddy-O. Yeah. But so I would always take that. We had like jars of eyeballs, fetal pigs. I mean, things that, you did in high school science. And then he would teach me about nature and the stars. My mom loved everything, not necessarily organic. I'm from Pittsburgh, and this is before Whole Foods and Pittsburgh, like in the 80s. So, but we would go to these little boutique health food shops, and I was raised on 1,000 grain bread, I call it. Like it was like hard as a brick, and you had to freeze it, right? Until you use like one piece of it. Was only allowed wheat germ cereal. She would grape nut cereal. She would put wheat germ, if anybody's had that. It's not great tasting, even now for me.
She's like,
Orange
psychologically messed
juice.
up.
I had powdered vitamin C in my orange juice every day
Oh my
because
goodness, girl.
Pulitzer Prize. It prevents, colds, and I really never had a cold, so I had to fake it all the time to get out of school. So it's in my blood. And she loves psychology, so she was always teaching me psychology, which I think in wellness is a huge part of it too, and I really bring into that. That's got to be fixed first, in order to kind of work on the rest of it. So really, I was raised in that. I studied art and a little bit while I was in high school at CMU, and I only studied like bodies.
Okay.
I love drawing bodies and seeing them. And then basically, to end this, because it's a really long story, but because I'm old now. It's been many years.
Stop.
She said,
You're fabulous.
I'm young.
Yes.
But I was dancing and I went to massage therapy a year out of high school. And I realized that I didn't want to be a starving artist. But ballet was always the only thing that I ever wanted. But I also didn't like starving. And I didn't like touching people that much at 18 years old as a massage therapist. So I went to an all-girls university. I quit ballet at that point because I was like so full, 100% my whole life. And I became a yoga instructor. And so that's then when it started transitioning into like learning other methods. And I taught at a yoga studio and at the college. And I started working in beauty at that point at Sephora, our local Sephora, which was one of the first Sephoras in the United States. And I became a national trainer for them.
Is this in Pittsburgh?
This was all in Pittsburgh.
All in
yeah.
Pittsburgh. Okay.
girl, the
And-
grains, the training, the whole, it's all happening in the Pittsburgh.
So I've always had like this double like of fitness and beauty right away. And my mom was an esthetician and used to have like the beauty parties at our house growing up too. And that's when I had like mini dreadlocks and did not wear a stitch of makeup. So true.
Sounds like she's together.
So it's just always been in your system then?
It is.
It's
It's from my
Reborn,
family.
girl.
It's funny how you look back at your parents and they provided such a background, but it's my passion. I love wellness. I love body. I love to draw it. I love to see it. I said, I've seen your face, and, like, I can't remember a name for anything, but, like, I love people and bodies and wellness and feeling good. And that's really what my passion is in continuing on this road, is that I love when people feel good, and I feel like it's a grassroots, so that if one person gets something out of anything that I've said, whether it makes sense or not, or I know what I'm talking about or not, but it works for them, then they're happier for their friends and their family, or they have something more to provide, and that continues to go on,
Like the little domino.
Yeah.
Yes.
You touched on something which I think across the board, health and wellness and fitness, it's face value sometimes, but you touched on, and I think it stems from childhood, the mental component of that. And I want to kind of delve in a little bit more about your thoughts and opinions on that, because people face body issues, people face, I'm not good enough, I'm not this, and it all really stems back to a thought process. What's your thought process on changing a pattern, and how anybody watching this can start on that journey?
Yeah, I mean, that's a deep question.
Yeah.
But it's a
Yeah.
really good question. And I can say, before I say like how, I can say I've been through all those things. I was a ballerina. I grew up with eating disorders around me. And luckily, I never really got into it. But I was more muscular of a girl, where the girls were really thin.
Yeah.
And so I always noticed the difference in that. And then later on in my career, when I moved here, I fell into fitness modeling, and it was like P90X and Insanity and Sports Authority and all that kind of stuff.
I saw that body.
We've seen the covers, girl.
Yes.
But there's pressure in that when you get to one point and somebody's seen your body one way, and then your body starts to change with age and hormones. And I went through fertility drugs, and so I understand that. But coming back to like, where does it come from? So when I had to learn, or where I had to go to be secure in that, was that this is for me. And that's what health is all about. We always tell my daughter, like, mommy needs to take care of herself, and then she's going to take care of you better. So mom needs to go take this moment, and my husband knows the same thing too. And people have to stop, and that's where the psychology comes into play, that they have to learn what the root of their feelings is, or even if they can't figure that out on their own, that how to change why they're doing something when they know it's unhealthy. If they're doing it for somebody else, it's never going to be healthy.
That's a really important
And if they're doing it for the outside, we know. I mean, we all know it's not going to work, especially like even in just if you're trying to lose weight or you're trying to gain weight, if you know what I mean. Some people want to put on muscle, whatever body changes that you want to do.
I've been trying for years. Then I just
got some
accepted
tricks.
Then I just accepted who I am.
Yeah, exactly. I
You can't
mean,
live for other people, and I think that's beautiful what you're saying. It's like, it's hard though. It's like you can't flip the mentality.
it'll always come back maybe a little bit. There'll always be maybe a little comparison. But when you build it up so strong to know yourself and have successes, and I think too, it's having success outside of just what you look like.
She's like a good angel on the side here.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe
Be the other
too. Well, this ain't liquor, but let's
No, you have like this very optimistic and, positive energy about you. And that's
authentic.
Yes. And which kind of what I wanted to ask you, because you've been in the game for so long, you've had so much success. I mean, from the Evolution 20, from everything with your fitness modeling, your KO body care, like girl, you're killing it. What do you think with the industry being so saturated, and obviously as time, it's like fitness has become very saturated. What do you think has set you apart?
It's actually, you said the word, I feel like I'm authentic. Coming from Pittsburgh, I've always thought I love bringing the expertise of Los Angeles that I've learned and continue to learn from new people coming in, people that have been in the business for decades. But I like applying it to my family I just think of in Pittsburgh, who don't live out here and don't know how crazy it is out here. And I think that in Los Angeles, some have taken it too far in the sense of fitness, like
Yes.
2-3 hours a day to
Speak
achieve
on
your
it, girl.
goals.
Yes.
Speak on it, because
You
it's the
know?
truth.
Yeah,
It is.
And normal people don't have that amount of time. And so it's taking that, being authentic in my mission and my passion for people, but mixing it with the expertise. So if you've, what I've heard from people, like I can't say this myself, but the response that I've gotten is a lot of people, I love cues that make you feel the movement right away. So you're not wasting your time. You're burning more energy by using more muscle. You're building more tone muscle by doing it effectively. And so I think that they appreciate that and they feel good after the workouts too. Like some workouts can deplete you if you're doing
Yeah.
hot yoga all the time, if you're jumping up and down in high intensity all the time. So
Not
it's a
working
feel-good
out.
method, but it's hard. Like I also think that I've been a pretty strong girl, and sometimes people are like, how? I did not walk into this thinking that girl could do this, and it's something to like, I'm going to challenge myself to work towards that. And I've had the ups and downs in my life where I've been weaker and then I have to build it back up
But
too, you
that's
know?
being human.
Yeah.
You know.
Mhm.
But yeah, you hit the nail on the head. It's that you're so authentic, and people,
Thanks,
you know, definitely grasp to people who they're like, I can relate. It's very hard to be that person who can really be successful if people feel like they can't relate to you.
And to be honest, even if I wasn't an expert, maybe people don't like my programs. I think that we all like authentic people nowadays. Like we are attracted to that in a world of social media where some things are up that, you know, are not as authentic.
Exactly.
And you nailed it on the head in terms of you're here, you're playing the game here, but the grassroots of Pittsburgh is the bloodline.
The
that keeps
bird,
you
we
going.
call it, yeah.
And that to me is why you're successful. That sums it up. It doesn't matter where you come from. That authenticity comes from your genesis here. And I think that's beautiful. And I think that's why you are building and successful and have so many great things happening now and down the line. I
Hopefully,
think
yeah.
stick with that, girl,
The
because
bird.
it's working for you.
And my husband's from Pittsburgh too, and so
Were you high school sweethearts?
no, we met out here in a Q's Billiards on Wilshire.
That's where we all hang
And we
out.
all meet there.
We're going there right after this.
Walked in the door and he walked right up to me. 3 months into living here, and I didn't know a soul when I moved here.
Well, let's talk about that, girl.
Okay.
Then how do you balance? You're a mommy, you're a CEO, which I want to get into the KO body care, so we're gonna touch
Okay.
on that. But and you know, and you're married. How do you balance? That's a lot. I mean, and you're doing a lot. How do you have that balance between you and your man and time with your little girl, who's
Yeah.
so freaking cute, by the way?
Thank you, my little Remy Rain. You know, there is no true balance. I've learned that. But I feel successful at the amount of time that I'm able to put towards everything. You know, I think there was a time when Remy was born and when a child is born, to add on to it, like it's one thing with a relationship, and he works a lot too. But when the baby is born, like I was trying to do it all. Work from home, feed her, put her to bed, also work, and I couldn't do it. Then I would have to work on the weekends, but then I wasn't working, and it was like
Yeah.
too much. And I learned that my balance or feeling successful at what I'm doing and everything came from being very present wherever I'm at. It's actually made me so much more effective at every work and all that kind of stuff too, where I could kind of be daydreaming before. I don't have the time now. So I work from like 9 to 5. I shut my phone down, social media included, all of that. And I'm totally present for my child until she goes to bed. And then if I have the energy, I'll do a couple more emails to get ready for the next day. And then the weekends, like I shut it down on the weekends, and like Sunday, when she's napping on Sunday, both my husband and I usually check in with everything, and then maybe in the evenings or so. And then with relationship, it's the same. We're lucky enough that we've come from zero, you know,
Yeah.
financially, and but 100 of love. And you know, we're lucky now that we can take a trip. So like coming up, we take one trip a year, even without Remy, for a couple of days. And it's hard when you first leave, but it's great because we don't see each other much, and we're always talking
Pack those
business.
bags, we're going.
Yeah. When's that day?
Yeah, I was like, tick, tock.
Yeah, and work too. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like it totally shut down work, so it's great.
So that's good. It seems like you do have the balance because you know, like turning off the phone and getting off of social media.
Whiskey, tequila also help for both of us.
Yeah.
We don't have no
Shing,
tequila.
shing.
Chin, wait, let me, anything behind here? I want to touch on family because you are open in terms of your daughter being adopted. And I
Yeah.
think that is in itself something so remarkable, but brings a whole new challenges. Can you take us through, just give us a little taste of what that process was like? And, you know, as a new mother, first, like, take us through that whole process and running the business and being a wife.
Yeah, I mean, I always wanted to adopt, and I talked about it when I was a child, and I talked about it with any boyfriend that I thought may be serious, and with my husband, Robert, we had discussed it as well, and he was completely open to it. But you never know if you will. You know, I can imagine if we struggled to have our own baby, and after like 5 years of fertility, I never got pregnant. And he was like, look, why don't we adopt? So if we had children, you know how it's like chaotic and you don't know whether, and adopting a child can seem overwhelming at first because you've heard stories all sorts of ways. And luckily, Bobby and I go 100% into things and we don't think about it. When we know it's right, like when you just have that feeling.
Yeah.
So it happened for us very quickly. We started it. The paperwork is the longest thing and the background checks and all of that. So if anybody needs to hang out with me, I'm completely secured. Like my background is good.
I was like, oh, you got to
I have the paperwork and the fingerprints, yeah. But by the time once the paperwork was done, you get matched with a family, and we were matched within like 2 weeks. It was right after the new year, and she was born in early April, so she was born like 2-3 months later. January, February, March. Yeah, 3 months later. So it can happen pretty quickly, which is amazing. And I think the cool part is that I always envisioned, and I told my family and I told my husband that we were going to adopt a little baby. This is when I was a kid, I would say this. My daughter, actually, I didn't say we were going to adopt this. I said my daughter is going to have like bleach blonde California hair. This is before I dreamt of California. And these beautiful blue eyes. And I have brown hair. He's, Italian and brown hair and the beard and stuff like that. My dad has blue eyes. And we were like, well, maybe it'll happen. Who knows? My daughter has this beautiful blonde hair, the most dynamic, gorgeous blue eyes. And then a year before too, I said, our little girl's gonna have these beautiful like ringlet curls. Because I could see it. She has these beautiful, and her hair is just growing out, to this beautiful ringlet curl. So I find that in the sense of like adoption, this was always meant to be our family. And how I envision it is that I always think that there are the spirits, and this kind of goes above and beyond, take it or leave it, but that we pick our parents, I've heard in the past. And my parents were crazy, but I picked them. And we see where I've developed too, and I think the same thing for her. And I empower her that she picked us. We did not pick her. You know what I mean? She's blessed our family. And that's why her middle name is Rain, because rain always brings, and spring rains, all the new flowers and life, and she's done that for our family. And so we're going to do it again for sure. Like, I love it. We work with Adopt Together, and we have our annual baby ball coming up. I think it's October 10th. And we help to fund families who want to adopt, who can't afford it. I can't think of, the numbers are spectacular of how many families have been able to adopt children at this point. And we work with one of the major adoption agencies here too, to help support the foster children there that have not been adopted out. And there's just so many children, and I think it's like that's the best. It's the best
My
to
hat
put
off
children.
to you.
Yeah.
Frankly, that's beautiful what you do, and that you continue to, advocate for
Thank you.
this.
Yeah, and I've had so many people reach out that have gone through fertility issues. After seeing this and started the adoption process, and like 3 of the families have already brought children home. And so it's so amazing in that's Remy. Remy has helped, those families and those children have a loving home. And one cool statistics that I don't know exactly, I don't know, it's not a cool statistic. If we switch it in the optimism way, it will be. Okay. So I think it's like 75 to 80% of people in our jails currently were in foster care. So when they're
Wow.
left foster care, they don't have any support, and we can see what happens. What we see on the opposite side of that is what a love of a family can do for not only one person, but kind of like grassroots for our entire society. So these children are so important.
We need to
No matter
flip
how
it
we
more
feel.
on the
Yeah.
other
Yeah.
side, for sure.
Yeah.
Girl, you are
This is
just
beautiful.
the bomb. You know, you can always, I mean, you can see someone on Instagram and you get like we were kind of talking about earlier, that highlight reel.
Mhm.
But when I'm meeting you in person, it's like it's taking you to like a whole nother level of what I even thought of before. And I always thought like
And she got a
she's
nice highlight reel too. I was like, it's aesthetically pleasing.
okay. We're running a little low on time, but I
Okay.
do want to touch on KO Body Care and kind of how that came about and how you kind of took fitness and you call it the Pilates of the skin,
Yeah.
girl.
I know.
So
I like
let's
that
Do
you like
again?
that.
Pilates of the
Well,
Yes.
Wow.
More legs.
Girl, you might need some Pilates to skin. Put that shit down. I am here.
You love it.
Pilates of the
Yeah.
skin.
Yeah, so KO, it means knockout. It's a play on body, on the fitness that I had in the background, on a knockout skincare. And, but it came from working with clients for like a decade of all different age groups, especially going through when pregnancy started. We see a lot more where the age and the body just changes. So you see these changes in your skin, and yet so many of the women could be in great shape, were confident in whatever shape they were in, right?
Yeah.
But then their skin, they weren't confident in, so they didn't want to wear shorts or they didn't want to show their stomach. And we're in a day and age too, I noticed in the past 5 years, where in social media we see a lot more skin.
It's true.
So we show a lot more. Fashion has changed. We just
Yeah.
see a lot more. And so women of all age, and men I'm sure, are aware of that. And I had worked in skincare as well. I've worked with the plastic surgeons around here. There's a whole other side we didn't even step into of beauty and supplements and Eastern and Western medicine that I've worked with for the past 10 years too. And there just wasn't anything on the market. I was trying everything. And so we created KO, and we launched, it was like a year and a half, 2 years of formulation. And face grade body care is our trademark, and I think it really explains the brand, where my mom worked for La Mer and La Prairie, and I would have it free all the time back in the
It's like,
dark.
I wish.
Yeah.
I wish.
Yeah, and so I was putting it on my body instead, but it's too expensive. And a lot of celebrities, that's what they do. J-Lo's come out and said that, and a bunch of
Yeah.
different people. It's too expensive. And so we created that quality, but we created it clean for your entire body because it's your biggest organ. And then thinking of wellness, this is really important. We launched with like a cream, a firming serum, which won Shape Magazine Best in Beauty Award right away.
Yes,
It's my
girl.
fitness tip. I will say, without going into all the products, this is like a one to have. It's what I do before fitness shoots. So I put it on, and you can put it on daily, and it's for like thighs and cellulite, and it has caffeine in it with long-term benefits too, like second ingredients, hyaluronic acid. So your skin will plump up and look beautiful. But the caffeine also helps to like slim. But my trick is that I then, like a spa treatment, wrap it in saran wrap while I'm getting ready,
Oh.
and
We
it
should have
just
done that.
shreds you. It shreds. So it's kind of like a spa treatment, bikini ready. But we have that. We have oils, and we're launching probably like 9 new products next in 2020,
Oh,
and I
damn.
formulate them, and it's fun. And we just won another award from Shape Magazine a few days ago for our body mask and scrub. So again, coming from like the Pittsburgh point of
Mentality,
view,
yeah.
I did not get a manicure or pedicure growing up until I came here. We couldn't afford anything like that. And now when we travel and here, I like to visit spas and find out beauty treatments. Now, and I like to package it into KO so that you have these at-home spa moments. And so we basically combined a full body mask. And like when you go to the spa too, you're going to do face usually, and you don't do body as much because you're like, that's the last
true.
dollar.
Yes.
And so,
Spend all that chingle.
right? I
Oh,
mean,
I got the
pebbles in my face
That's
first, and it's dehydrated. So we put the mask and scrub together. So it's like a 10-minute mask, exfoliate. It just won an award too. And so I like to formulate, even in the sense of packaging, really innovative stuff for the body. And I love it.
Full circle moment from that little girl that had the Pittsburgh beginnings.
Mm-hmm.
And like, you're so hands-on with everything,
Mm-hmm.
which for me is like, there's nothing that you can't do.
Well, thank
Girl, the
you.
sky has
No, the
limits
sky has
for
no
you.
limit. Why not?
We'll see.
Aim high, girl.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I was saying before we started, actually, like sometimes I have too much optimism where if I keep knocking on a door and it's not opening,
It'll open.
I wish I could turn away and be like, it's okay, I'll just do this. But I'm like, no, this is opening. I know it. So
But that's the attitude to have. You
Yeah.
want things in life. If you don't build your own door, you spend the rest of
Yeah.
your life building someone else's, and you're never going to get what you want.
That's
Yeah.
success, though.
Yeah.
Keep knocking. You'll know when it's time,
Yeah.
like, you know.
Yeah.
And I think
They're
that's it.
asleep in the back. You just got to keep knocking a little louder.
Yeah, and that's
you know?
one of the things too. Nothing has come easy in my business. I created Evolution 20 because like nothing just rolled into my hands, you know, and I kept creating things because I had to. I wanted to, but I had to too. That opportunity didn't arise, so I made the opportunity. So, you know, for viewers and whoever out there, it's hard work, but it's so you have to love what you do, and I love it every day. And I love taking that time away from my family, and so that's the happy balance too.
Yes,
me.
girl.
That's
Well, for
important.
the people who are living under a rock, girl, I'm gonna need you to look right here and tell everybody where they can follow you, social media, where they can get your fitness, you know, everything.
Thank you.
Plug
Yes,
product placement right here.
Products. ChristineBullock.com. At Christine Bullock. It's the CH early 80s spelling.
Like Christy Brinkley.
Yeah. Yeah.
She's giving me vibes.
In the future, right? How,
I'm getting
God,
vibes.
please.
I'm getting vibes,
Let me look
girl.
like that. So Christine Bullock and KAYO Body Care, KAYO, and you know we'll have lots of new stuff coming for you in 2020. I'm excited, even more than skincare too. So
Ooh, so watch this space over here.
Some good stuff
Yes,
coming.
girl.
Bam.
You guys can follow me across the board at Ariane Andrew and this little sleepy nugget at Glitty Glit.
They're out cold. You can
Yeah.
follow me at Matt Dillon 1983, and we did it, girl.
All right, guys. Until next time, we will catch you on Sippin' the Tea next Tuesday.
Cheers. Thank you so
Cheers.
much for
Thank
coming
you.
back.
It's such a pleasure.
Yeah, you got the wrong number. Click.